ceramic student, today I'm going to teach you how to make an open form on the wheel. We have an assignment called open form. An open form is a term that is kind of a general description of anything in ceramics where the top is wider than the bottom. You are welcome to hand build your open form. You can make open forms out of coils. You can make open forms out of slabs. For most students, they're going to make a bowl, and I don't think that we need a demonstration with coils or slabs how to do that. I think it's pretty straightforward from the skills that we've learned with our original coil pot and slab pot. But I did want to show you how to make it on the wheel because it does take a little bit different skill set. So what I have here is I have a centered piece of clay that I opened up and I've widened the bottom. If I were making a half pot, this would be the moment when I would start going straight up. And that's why I've paused it right here, because this is where it gets a little bit different. So I'm going to turn my wheel on and I'm going to speed it up. So if I were making a half pot, I would have just had my hands inside, my right hand would be on the outside, my left hand would have reached in, my thumb behind, and I would have widened that bottom across. Remember, we got to make the inside wide enough that we can reach our hands in to do our pull. Now, before I start pulling, there's one thing that I'm going to do different. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the walls, which are vertical right now, and I'm going to flare them out. I'm going to open them up. And I do that with my right hand and my left fingers. So I'm going to literally just tip my hand out and use my fingers to follow my hand. So I'm tipping it out like so, and that gives it just a nice little general open shape that we can work with. From here, now I can start to do my pulling. When I'm pulling to make a bowl or an open form, rather than just doing one motion, which with my half pot, I was going just straight up in the air. When I'm doing an open form, I'm going to think about my wall in two parts. So let's, for visualizing sake, I draw a little line right here. I've got a bottom half, I've got a top half. Your inside hand and your outside hand have to work together to create shape with the clay. And how that's controlled is by the pressure. If I push harder with my inside hand, the clay goes out. If I push harder with my inside hand, the clay goes in. So when I do this pull, I'm going to, on the bottom half, let my inside hand push out, and it's going to move the clay at a diagonal. When I get halfway, I'm going to do even pressure and make the clay go up. And that's going to give us our out and our up shape that will make it look like a bowl. So I take my sponge in my right hand. I'm going to have my fingers on the inside. I'm going to create a little pressure. And at first, I'm going to let that left hand push a little harder to about halfway, about there. Now, I'm going to do even pressure. I'm going to go straight up until I get to the top. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to let go sideways. When I'm making a bowl, I also can let the wheel slow down a little. Because the form is getting wide, that spinning force is already pulling on your clay. If you go full speed, pedal down the whole time, there is a chance that it could stress the clay out a little and cause a tear. So now that I've done a little bit of shaping, I'll do the same thing I do with my half pots. Between my thumb and my finger, I'm going to slide down and I'm feeling for thickness. Remember, we're shooting for pinky thick. So up here on the top, it's feeling pretty good. But when I get down here, it's still pretty thick. So I need to do another pull. So I'll speed the wheel up, and then I'll take my foot off of the gas. I'm going to grab on the bottom half. We're going to go over as we go up. When we get halfway, now we're going to start to go straight up. Hold and release. I'm going to feel the wall again, feel for thickness. There's still a little bit down in that corner that I can keep moving. Okay, over as I go up, diagonal. When I get about halfway, now I'm just kind of sliding because this wall is already pinky thick. You know that you're done when the wall feels pinky thick all the way through and it meets the definition of our open form requirement. And that requirement is that the rim, or the top part right here, is 3 times or roughly 3 times wider than the bottom. Now we're not quite there yet, but remember, when we're wheel throwing, we are going to trim the bottom, which will help improve that shape. So if I'm feeling like it's pretty good, it's the right thickness, I can get it ready to get it off of the wheel. So what I first want to do is I want to take my rib, I want to hold this nice little corner, and I'm going to go down in here and just shave off any excess. That will help save me a little bit of trimming time. Then I want to make sure that there's no water on the inside of my bowl. So I will take my sponge and get that water out of there. Like this. I can turn the motor off. I'm going to take a little bit of water in the sponge and I'm going to put water all the way around it. Okay. And then I need to grab a wire tool, which are hanging above the wheels. I'm going to take that wire tool, I'm going to hold it nice and tight. Okay, I'm going to press down on the metal. I'm going to cut underneath my bowl. And I'm going to do that again. And I'm pushing some water underneath it. When it gets enough water, it will start to slide. I'm going to bring it over to the edge. Now I'm going to grab a board. Put a little water on your board so that it's not too sticky. Okay? And you want to get the wire out from the bottom. Line up the board and your bowl and give it a gentle push. And there it is. Now this is not ready to trim yet. It is way too soft and gooey. It will have to sit sometimes at least until the next class, sometimes 2 class periods. But I'm going to take a bag and just carefully, loosely cover it. Now if you had 30 minutes or so still in class, you could just leave it out and let it dry for a while. But when class ended, you'd need to partially cover it up, leave a little bit of an opening, get your name on it, and then put it in the cupboard to wait. So that hopefully next class, you can do some trimming. Let me know if you got any questions, and hopefully you have a good experience throwing your first bowl.